Okay, this is the test review for the tests coming up on Monday. The review is very similar, so please take notes and follow along. A jar contains 5 blue marbles, 8 red marbles, 4 white marbles, and 3 purple marbles. Suppose you pick a marble at random without looking. Find the probability of each event. Write your answers as a fraction in simplest form. The number 1, red or white. First of all, we count and see how many red and white marbles do we have. Okay, so looks like we have 8 red and 4 white. That makes a total of 12 marbles. So how many total do we have? Total, if you count them all up, there's 20 total. Okay, so that's our probability. Now all we have to do is reduce that number. How do you reduce it? Find a factor of both 12 and 4, and the answer would be 3/5. It says write it as a fraction in simplest form, so the answer should be 3/5. Now the probability of a blue. We look back at our problem. How many blues do we have? We have 5 blues, so it'll be 5 over what? 5 over 20. And what does that reduce to? 5 over 20 will reduce to 1/4. Looking at the next one is a 6-sided number cube. So they changed from marbles to 6-sided number cube is rolled. Find the probability of each event. Write this answer in fraction, decimal, or percent. So what's the probability of rolling a 5? Yes, it is 1 over 6. Now for this problem, you're going to have to answer it in fractions and decimal. So what is the fraction of 1/6? Okay, that means you're going to have to divide the 6 into the 1, divide it out, and bring your decimal, adding zeros. I'm not going to do all the steps, but we'll find out the answer would be 0.16, and it's going to repeat. Okay, so, or you can say it is 16%, because you have to, 16.6 repeating percent, because you have to move the decimal. That's as a decimal, that's as a percent. Looking at number 4, the spinner shown is spun once. Find each probability. This is the probability. This is a problem. So if it being less than 3. So there are 8 total choices, 8 total sections. How many are less than 3? 1 and 2 is less than 3. It means it's 2 over 8. And that reduces to 1/4. Next, we have the probability here. 6-sided cube is rolled. This time you have to write it is a fraction, of decimal, or percent. So if it's 6-sided, and the answer would be less than 4, so it would be 3 over 6, and that reduces to 1/2. Now you can change your 1/2 to your decimal and percent. We know 1/2 is 50%, and as a decimal is 0.5. Looking at number 6. 2 number cubes are rolled together. What's the probability of rolling a product of 2? Product of 2. So if 2 of them are rolled together, then total you have is 1. You have over 36. So you have 2. Since it's 2 of them, probability will be 2 total over 36, because 2 are rolled together. Okay, and then you reduce that to 1 over 18. Let me know if you have any questions. Send me a message to Edmodo. Looking at number 7. We have a probability. We want to make a tree diagram with the number of outcomes. Choosing a blue, white, or green shirt with khaki or denim pants. So I'm going to make K for khaki and D for denim. So we compare. What can we pair with the khaki? The B for blue with the khaki. We can pair the W for white with the khaki, and we can pair the green, G for green for the khaki. Okay. Then we got the denim. This is, looks like it's a D. I'm going to make it as better as I could. That's a D. Same thing. B, W, G. Now it's asking what's the total outcomes. We just count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 6 is the answer. Now, this is real simple. Find the sample space using the table below. So if you have a coin, in other words, if you've tossed a coin, what are your choices? You know, it's either heads or tails. So your sample space is you can have a heads with a heads. You can have heads with a tail. You can have a tail and the heads. Or you can have a tail with a tail. Those are the sample space. So that you're going to have a question sort of like that on your test, all right? Number 9. This is where you find make a tree diagram. So you're tossing two coins. One's a nickel and one's a quarter, but you're still tossing two coins that can either be heads or tails. So you're going to have, basically it's going to be the same sample space that's here. But if you want to make it into a tree diagram, you have heads, tails, and then for the heads, you can either going to have heads or tails. And then for the tails down here, you're going to either have heads or tails. Okay. Now, number 10. Picking a number from 1 to 4, then choosing the color red or green. Okay, so we want to make a tree diagram, 1 to 4. So I just made a list. You can make a list or a table. So what I'm going to start it, and you can finish it. So if I have 1 was good the red, 1 green, 1 yellow. Then you also have 2 red, 2 green, 2 yellow. So can y'all finish that up? And then tell me how many total combinations. Keep going. 3 red, 3 green, 3 yellow. So how many total outcomes do we have? Yes, it is 12 total outcomes. Now number 11, choosing turkey or ham or wheat on rye. I'm going to have you make your own either tree diagram or your table that I will go over with you. The answer will be how many combinations or how many outcomes? Yes, it is 4. So you draw it and see if you come up with 4 also. Number 12, the probability of getting 2 red ribbons. From this information here, if you read the instructions, what's the probability of getting 2 red ribbons? This is what we went over yesterday. So if we know, or yeah, Wednesday. So if we know the total number of ribbons in the drawer is what? You have a total of 25. How many do you have that's red? You have 9. Okay, now we drew one of those red ones out. It's not being replaced. It says once a ribbon is selected, it's not replaced. So it says you've drawn out 2 red. So you know you've drawn out a red. So you don't have 9 left anymore. Right now you have 8. Okay, and now you don't have 25 left because you took one out. You have how many? 24. And what do we do to those two numbers? We have to multiply them to get the probability. Now, we can multiply straight across, but we'll get larger numbers. So why don't we try and simplify one of them? Let's see if we can simplify the 8 and the 24. So can you reduce 8? You can change 8, or you can reduce the 8 by dividing 8 into 8. It go one time. So you also can reduce 24 by dividing 8 will go into 24 3 times. Now you have a simpler thing to multiply. Now we can simply multiply straight across and have an easier way at getting our answer. So if we multiply straight across, we're going to multiply Oh yeah, we also can cancel out before we do that to make it even simpler. So can we cross cancel the 3 and the 9 by reducing 3 and 9? That means we can cancel out the 3. That's 1 because we're dividing by 3. We're dividing 3 and the 9 gives us 3. Now it's even simpler. We can multiply straight across. 3 times 1 is 3. The denominator, all you have is 25 times 1 is 25. So it's a lot quicker than multiplying straight across and reducing. Looking at number 13. What is the probability of rolling two number cubes and getting a number greater than 2 on each cube? Okay, so we're looking at two cubes. So one cube, it has six possibilities. So how many number greater than 2? So we have four numbers that's greater than 2, right? And you are going to have two cubes. So times the other cube, it's greater than 4 over 6 again. Same thing. So we can reduce those. We can multiply straight across. Or let's just reduce it before we multiply to make it a lot easier. So you can reduce 4 over 6 to 2/3 times 2/3. And you find our answer is 4 over 9. That's the probability. 14. It says one bag contains 3 red chips and 7 yellow chips. Another bag contains 4 red chips and 6 yellow chips. A chip is drawn from each bag. What is the probability that both chips are yellow? So let's look at the total number of yellow we have, which is 7 in the first one. Now, how many is in the first bag? It says here the total would be 10. Okay, let's look at the second bag. Okay, we're talking about two different bags, so we don't have to remove anything. Second bag, we have 6 yellow. And even in the second bag, we still have a total of 10. So we know we're going to multiply the numbers. So instead of just multiplying straight across, getting a large, I got to get the phone. Hold on a second. Okay, now I'm back. So now we can simplify the 6 over 10. Can we reduce it? I'm going to make a green. We can reduce 6 over 10 and make that, take half of 6, so you can have 3. Half of 10, you can have 5. Now it's easier to multiply across. So then we have 21 over what? 21 over 50. And that's our answer for number 14. Okay, so now we're looking at number 15. Now we're back at number 15. It's like a review of something we've already done before, which has to do with proportions and figuring this one out. Glenn surveyed 40 of his classmates to determine their favorite cafeteria food. The results of his survey are shown below. Suppose there are 200 students in the cafeteria during lunch. How many students would you expect to choose hamburgers as their favorite cafeteria food? So let's just look at how many chose hamburgers out of the 40. So remember, we can set up our proportion, part over total. So we know that 9 people, that's part of them, out of the 40, which is the total, chose hamburgers. Now we can set up our proportion with the 200. 200 is the whole thing. So would that go on top or bottom? Well, we're on bottom, right? Okay, so we're setting up the proportion. And what will go on top? It would be x. Okay, so we have the proportion set up. So we're going to multiply cross products. So you have 40x equals 1800. And so we would divide. What are we going to do? We're going to leave it at 1800? No, we have to divide by 40 because that's the only way you're going to get rid of the number by the x to make the x by itself. So you divide both sides by 40. So when you divide 40 into 1800, you're going to get 45. So divide it step by step. You will get 45 for your answer. And last but not least, number 16. Scott has 6 t-shirts and 9 dress shirts for his wardrobe. What is the probability of selecting a dress shirt? So let's look at how many dress shirts you have. He has 9. And what is the total? 15. So you can reduce that. They want it in simplest form. So the answer is 3 over 5. Now your test will be quite similar. If you have any questions, send me a message to Edmodo.